That's weird. Mercury retrograde. Well, Venus comes out of retrograde, I think tomorrow or Monday. I don't know. I always yawn. Not always, but I do yawn a lot. Hi. Today's September 1st, 9/1. 9/1. 9/1. So today was a good day. Every day is a good day, but today's a good day. It's getting closer to the fall. I want to give a shout out to my fans who sent me some little something something. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The love donations. That was nice. See, unexpected windfall, unexpected blessing. And they buy my books, which is the awesomest. But I like fan mail anyway. You know, I think people write to me because they're hoping I'm going to write back to them, and it'll be something like, you know, like I'm picking up on what they're throwing down. I don't know. People love my writing, which I'm very grateful for. It is a gift that keeps on giving. I love it. It just comes so automatic. So I'm just getting the hang of being in the car. It's not that bad, though. I mean, it's not ideal, but it's not like the worst thing. It's just, I don't know, it's just weird. Because it's just a different way of life, you know, being on the go all the time. It's like you still have to have, like, a base, I think. I just feel like it's too on the go. You know what I mean? Even though I like everything to go, it's just too much on the go, you know? That it's like, I don't know, it's that never feeling settled feeling. You know what I mean? Like I thought about the conversation that we were talking about living in an RV. Okay, very mobile, bonus, you know what I'm saying? Like that's a huge bonus. You're just like everything's in one spot. But like what about when you go to the grocery store? Or do you just have it delivered? I don't know. I just feel like, okay, so Cupid and I went to the grocery store to buy water, and I saw a 26-foot truck, okay? And I'm like, with the air brakes, okay, right? And I'm like, oh my God, you know, like, they're huge, you know? I mean, they're huge. And I drove one of those. And so when I looked at it, I was like, what was I thinking when I did that? But I did it, you know? And so I'm just glad like those days are behind me. But it's like, do you ever see somebody doing something that like your former self did? And you're like, oh, that was my old me that did something like that. And I don't know, it just kind of was like representative of like, okay, I checked that off the bucket list type of thing. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I do like cars. It's not like I don't like cars, but I would just like, you know, I don't know. I just think it's weird that like, I don't know. I just don't, I feel like living out of your car is very temporary. It's not something that like is sustainable or whatever. And so anyway, today was improvement in that situation. So it's a process. It's a process. But then, okay, so we had super blue moon 2 nights ago. And it won't happen again like that for another 15 years is what I read. So we had 2 super moons in the same month. And so 2 full moons in the same month is a blue moon. But we had 2 super moons. So probably why people are very emotional and things are changing, because energy is breaking. You know, it's like a huge relief is going to come after this now. Just everything will just kind of like fall into place. And even though Mercury's still in retrograde, but Venus comes out of retrograde tomorrow. So, you know, for a minute there, we did have all of the planets in retrograde. I mean, I don't do astrology, but I like to read about it. I read my horoscope. You know, I think that there's something to it. But I wish I was an astrologer. That's just too much work. I mean, it's like you got to pick a couple of things that you're good at and then just keep doing those things if you want to be good at it. I'm not going to just jump into astrology just because I like it. And like I've tried to do it like as a hobby, but it just seems like it's just so hard. And it's like, why can't I just do a computer program, you know, or whatever? Because I automatically want to go towards the computer programming of everything, that side of it. But I mean, because you can just pull up your birth chart, but I'm talking like the real astrologers, you know, like I have one who does my chart, and it's just I don't know, it's just so accurate. My Yorkie and I did that for 6 months looking for a house. It is hard, especially for her trying to keep her healthy. Hello. Bella Sue O2 Antone Lyons. Hi. Yeah, it's just, I mean, I don't know. It just makes me feel like, you know, well, first of all, I feel like the smaller space, you know, makes a better relationship between Cupid and I, you know? And so the thing is like, I mean, I like that part of it, you know? But at the same time, it's like it's like, I don't know, it's just weird. It's just the public restrooms and like the showers an issue, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, I know, you know, like a gym or whatever, but I'm limited on where I can take the dog. Even if I showered, let's say at like 10 o'clock at night and I brought him with me at a gym. Okay, that's doable. You know what I mean? So I'd have to get a gym membership for that to be happening. But at the same time, I qualify for an apartment. It's just the process of like going through like all the background checks and everything. Like they were trying to get me in today, but I don't know. I don't know. This is like, it's just taking forever. And I guess it'll just be what it'll be when it'll be. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I'm not in a position right now where I can just be super choosy or stubborn or, you know what I'm saying? Or, I mean, I can't believe how long it's taking, but I guess, you know what I'm saying? Like, it also has its benefits that, you know, I can basically go anywhere at any time, all the time. It's just, I don't know. I just feel like it's not settling enough. You know what I mean? And it's not clean. It's like you really have to like work at staying clean, brushing your teeth and blah, blah, blah. And it's going to, you know, I don't know. I mean, we're going into the fall. So, you know, heat's an issue, but so is being cold too, you know. And it's like, but then you have to just get grateful. Well, I'm grateful that I have my Yorkie with me. I'm grateful that I have all of my senses about me, you know. I'm grateful that I can even participate in this part of my life, just even having what I do have and not look at what I don't have, but knowing that what I am manifesting and the things that I desire are coming to me, and that's why I'm moving in a forward motion, you know. And it's like, just nothing ever happens fast enough, because when you have these desires and you have these thoughts and you know that it's going to happen, you have to wait for the universe to catch up with that. And it's like, it can take a long time. And so you just, you know, even like when you have like your pits and your peaks, you know, that's the whole thing. It's like, you just, I mean, it's not every day is going to be a good day, which I understand, and you have peaks and valleys. But today was a good day in many ways. It's just like, I don't know. I just feel I wanted it to be more finalized, I guess. But Mercury retrograde. It's okay for, like, because they normally say, like, you shouldn't sign contracts or anything like that, like when Mercury's in retrograde, because then you'll have to, like, redo it or whatever. But my last place that I was at, I did it under a Mercury retrograde too. So I feel like that kind of just falls into a pattern. I'm just not even worry about it. But I don't know. And then, like, you know, how the sign of Cancer is ruled by the moon, so they're moody, and like every other day, like every day their sign changes signs, you know, and it's just like, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like the Cancers is just very emotional, up and down. I don't know. I never dated. I dated a Gemini Cancer cusp, and I just no. It was like trying to date 3 people. But anyway, so anybody else have anything going on with like these super moons? Like, gotta stay hydrated. I think that's one of the most important things that we can do is stay hydrated. You know? So yeah, there was good things. Good things came out of it. Good things came out of it. But I did my Stellaroseallday marathon. Hey, I had to. It will get better. Thank you. Yeah, it did. It started getting better, you know? And it's like, that's fine. It's just a process, and I have to accept the process, and I have to trust the process. And I'm very grateful that I have support. But, you know, it's weird, like, because this time around, like, the support that I'm receiving came in the most unexpected places. Like, I have friends that live, you know, in California because they're in the film industry, or the, you know, just the movie industry or whatever, the films. And so, like, they started getting involved because they were just like, wait a minute, what's going on here? This isn't like you. And I'm like, I'm telling you, this is what the process is to get an apartment. Like, I'm not kidding, you know? And they're like, that can't be right. And I'm like, well, you're saying that because you're a homeowner, you know? I said, and so anyway, so she started backing me up with the calls and the research and everything. And, you know, because she knows that, like, I have my dog, and, you know, and I'm juggling a couple of different projects or whatever, but the main focus has always been the housing. And so she starts calling places. And when she started calling, I started getting callbacks. And I think it's just because somebody automatically off the bat invested in me. And so then they wanted to invest in me as a person too, because they knew I came with like a spirit team. You know what I'm saying? Like I brought in like my angels, my support guides, you know? And of course nobody understands that, because nobody ever gets me right off the bat. Everybody just wants to call me names or whatever, but it's like everything is energy. You know what I mean? And so, and I'm sensitive to the energies. And so I just feel like, and also it's like, well, I was grateful that I had people that jumped in to help me. And like, they really, really helped me. Like, they found resources online, they found food banks, they found, like the shelters, they found places to get clothes, they found like all kinds of stuff for me. Gas, I had got gas vouchers and stuff. And so I have been getting a lot of help. It's just, I think what I was focused on was the end goal instead of the journey, you know? Because like, I'm just like, it's just so numbing to me that I feel like I just don't see how it could be so such a long process, but it is, okay? But the thing is like I was just kept focusing on the end instead of enjoying the journey for the longest time, because I think when you're talking about housing and it's a basic need and it's shelter and you know what I'm saying? It's like, even if you watch Naked and Afraid, they build shelters out in where they're at because they want to be covered from the elements. And I mean, it's a false sense of security because it doesn't mean I'm any safer, like being in, in a place, but it's just the modern conveniences of like running water and, a kitchen and a bathroom and, you know, I don't know. I started using the microwave. I'm really against it, but I was using it for a while. I would rather use like the toaster oven, you know? I don't know. I haven't gotten into air fryers, but I should. I should try that. I think I'm gonna do it, but then I don't. I don't know. I have to. I have to do that. I don't know. I haven't gotten onto that trend. But and like also the other thing too that's a benefit is like you're forced to like I'm forced to be accountable to somebody for my actions and stuff like that. Like I had to be accountable to the people that were helping, because people couldn't believe, again, how long the process is or whatever. So I had support, people checking in on me and stuff like that. And when they got involved in the process, they were like, this is just it. Like, this is just, this is how it is, but helped me too, because I think it's somewhat of like your own survival instincts, and then plus it's just like, I don't know, always making sure, like, if someone's following you. But I mean, I think any woman is like that anyway. You know what I mean? I just think we just want, like safety and security. But I mean, even though I feel like I'm protected by the universe, it just feels like it would be nice to have like the building materials as support too, So I don't know. I'm just happy that it's like moving forward. So I can focus on other things, like finishing the other 2 documentaries. I will finish them. I know that I will. It's just that, I mean, I work on them every day, but it's to publish them is where all the work comes in. But like I always say, if you get a feeling to write a book, do it. Do it on Amazon. Amazon makes it easy. I know, like, I'm always promoting Amazon as far as like self-publishing, but I feel like if people knew, because a lot of people do want to publish books and write books and stuff like that, but I feel like I mean, all I can say is that, like, with my journey, I knew I was going to write a book when I was like 18 years old. Like, when I was 18 years old, I already knew I was going to write books. I just didn't know what I was going to write, and I didn't know how to do it. And so I didn't really get serious about it until I was pretty much in my 30s, late 30s, is when I really started thinking about writing a book. And so I did write one on relationships, but I didn't publish that one. I think about it. But then I didn't know how to like upload it or publish it or get it out into the world. And so then when I did Shattered Windows, I knew for sure that I wanted to publish that book. I knew I was going to do it, but it took me 8 years to do it. But the story also took 8 years to write about. And I went to writers groups and I bought a book on how to write a book, but it seemed like it took a long time for me to actually get everything that I put down on paper into like a format that could even be turned into a book. You know what I mean? It was a process. It took, I started before COVID on the public part. And I think that if you are serious about being a writer or want to even write just one book or a comic book or whatever, mine was great. I loved it. I mean, like, I couldn't wait to go to the library to have, I mean, it was just so fun and educational and learned so many different things. And then when I decided to publish, I go the same route as everybody goes where they like send things out for an agent, but I was doing it during COVID and the agents weren't working, even though I tried anyway. I still hit them all up, even though I knew I was going to get a bunch of not working, which was fine. But after I got signed up with KDP and I did a Kindle first, that was I liked that format, was doing the Kindle first. And it somewhat walks you through the layout. I mean, I feel like anybody with any I feel like it's very user friendly, but then I started working with Kindle Vella and I really love Kindle Vella because Kindle Vella is the short stories, the docuseries. I love Kindle Vella. And so the books, I still like the books, but as a writer, I also like to, use the latest media, and that's electronic media. The problem with the electronic media is it can be taken down. When you buy a paperback, that's your proof. I mean, I don't know. It could get burnt up in a fire. I'm just saying, like, I'd rather have the paperback by far. But because I do like to read, I will use a Kindle. Just because if you like to read a lot, it doesn't make sense to have that many books around. I only buy a book if I really want to read that specific book and I'm going to keep it maybe as a reference or whatever. Like Louise Hay, How to Heal Your Life. That's paperback worthy all day. Plus I have it on my phone. You know what I'm saying? Because I just love Louise Hay and all of her affirmations and the way that she thinks and stuff like that. So yes, that's a paperback I need to have because I use it as a reference. And I don't know. I'm just saying, like, there's advantages to every format, but I really like Kindle Vella. It's inexpensive and it's short episodes. And so you can do them while you're waiting or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I have to get caught up on my reading. I still want to, my goal is Betsy Johnson's book. That's my goal. I have to get that done. I want to get that done. Her autobiography, because that seems like that would be interesting. All of her stores ended up closing, but she makes the most amazing jewelry, Like, I love Betsy Johnson. I have one of her wallets. Somewhere. That's another thing, too, that's annoying. It's like, I want my car back as my actual car, It's like, okay. I don't know, it's just weird. But I'd rather stay in a hotel than an Airbnb, that I'll tell you. I don't know. The Airbnbs were just okay. And it depends. Like, I made friends with one lady that I stayed at her Airbnb. Like, we stayed up the whole night talking. I just felt like she was such a cool person. And she was into real estate. And she was like, I think she was some kind of like substitute teacher or something. I can't. Yeah, something like that, because she rented out her house for Airbnb, like a lot of rooms, and she was great. We stayed up and we talked. We had coffee, but I stayed at one Airbnb. The lady wasn't even home, okay, and I'm like, okay, she wasn't home the whole time, which was fine. She had the pool and a hot tub. That was like, okay, that was the reason why I booked it. Because she wasn't like in a main area, but it wasn't like too far from a main area. And so, anyway, and then, so I'm by myself the entire time in the whole house, but like the way that she had it set up with all the lights on and everything, it was like you just didn't know if somebody else was going to come in, because there was another Airbnb that was like next door. And so anyway, nobody ended up coming, and the next morning I get a message that like her roofers are coming and they shouldn't like bother me or anything like that, just to kind of ignore it, but it would be normal that somebody else was going to be in the house. And I was like, okay. And so I was doing my laundry, because you can do your laundry at some Airbnbs. They have washer and dryer and you can use it, because they know you're traveling. And so I was doing my laundry and like, roofers walk in, and I'm like, the whole time, like, Cupid and I had the best time, because we had the whole house to ourselves. I made coffee, like I used the pool, I used the hot tub, and like we're just chilling like on the lanai or whatever. And then, I'm watching Netflix as I'm, like we're winding down or whatever. And then, all of a sudden it's like these guys come to the house. Yeah, we're the roofers. I'm like, yeah, she said that you were gonna be coming by or whatever. And he's like, yeah, I won't be in your way or anything like that. I'm like, that's fine. I'm like, because I don't live here. I'm like, I'm just doing an Airbnb. And so they kept, like, for an hour asking me questions about the house. And I'm just like, dude, I don't live here. I'm like, you gotta, like, you can contact the owner. I'm like, I don't even know who the owner is. I'm like, I didn't even know I was here by myself, And then he was like asking me questions about the house. Like, do you know where the damage is or whatever? And I'm like, dude, I don't live here. I'm like, I literally have only been here like 10 hours, I don't know any of that. I'm like, you got to contact the owner. And so then I just started staying in my room, because I'm like, I don't want to go out there, because now they're going to ask what like was going on or whatever. And so anyway, I just finished what I was doing, and I went to leave because it was time to check out or whatever. And so I see them I see them still working on the house or whatever. And I said, just make sure you lock up according to her instructions or whatever. She had to wait. She wanted everything locked up a specific way or whatever. I didn't want to be responsible, because now I was just leaving and like she had people in there working. And so I'm like, I felt kind of funny, but at the same time, it's like, it really wasn't any of my business. And so I go outside and I sat in my car and Airbnb called me. And so I'm like, okay. So I'm sitting there, and while I'm sitting there, I see the roofers pull out, okay? And so I'm like, oh, good, they left, But like, I wasn't sitting in the driveway. I was sitting like on the side of the street, And so I was on the phone with Airbnb, and all of a sudden I just see another truck, like just like the roofers, pull up, And I'm like, are they back? I'm like, I'm not talking to them. And so anyway, I was sorting out my issue with Airbnb, and some lady knocks on my window. And I'm like, can I help you? And she's like, yeah. She's like, I live here. We're going to get ready to turn over the Airbnbs or whatever. You got to move for the parking. And I was like, I thought you were the roofers. I go, they just left. I go, check all the locks and everything, because I don't know, And so she was like, okay. And I'm like, well, I'm on the phone with Airbnb, and I'm not going to drive and talk on the phone at the same time, so I'll be out of your hair in a minute, you know? And she was like, okay. And I was just like, I don't know, I just thought it was weird, because it's like, if you wanted to control what was going on in your home, you should have been there, you know? What ended up happening is she left a negative review on my Airbnb profile because I was sitting in the driveway talking to Airbnb on the phone. Not in the driveway. I was not sitting in the driveway. I was sitting in front of the house talking to Airbnb about a reservation or whatever. And so she left a negative review about that. And so I got a hold of Airbnb, and I was like, listen, I'm like, because they catalog everything, texting, phones, everything, okay? They have everything time-stamped. I said, check the records, because I was like, listen, this has got to go against community guidelines, okay? And so I go, check the record of the timing that we were on the phone against this comment, and you'll see I was on the phone with you. I was on the phone with Airbnb. And so they did. And so they removed the remark because it was, okay, so I was parked there 15 minutes after checkout. But I wasn't in the driveway. I was on the street. But it was for 15 minutes. And so Airbnb took it off. I was like, thank God, because, I mean, yes, I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, you don't know what I was doing. I was talking to basically your employer, you know, about something else. But right away, she got mad at me, and I was like, I don't know why she would get mad at me. I mean, I just, like, dealt with her roofers. It's weird. So, another Airbnb we stayed at was basically like the one where you had like your own entrance, and so you don't really have to deal with people, except for like if you see them around the property or whatever. But like most of the time they didn't like have only the one lady I stayed up and had a conversation with. The rest of the time it was just, you know, I was staying in a hotel type of thing. So, I mean, yeah, staying in a hotel is good, like, but I don't know. I'd rather stay in a hotel than an Airbnb, but I may not have stayed at too many Airbnbs to like really know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just kind of went back to using hotels. Because you get the breakfast and, you know, unlimited towels or toilet paper or whatever. I kind of feel like with the Airbnbs, it's kind of like a little bit of the sweat equity. I mean, the house with the pool and the jacuzzi was cool because that was like I had my own little oasis just for a minute there. And so that was worth it. But I... That was cool. That was a cool experience versus like staying in a hotel where, you know, not every hotel has pools, but I try to stay at hotels that have pools. Airbnb, better price-wise, but no free breakfast. Right, no free breakfast. You need that coffee. At the bare minimum, you need to have a coffee, you know? And like, I think, and then the breakfast helps just because, you know, it's just something that you don't have to think about, because otherwise that you have to think about where to get food like almost immediately after you leave, you know. Instead, at a hotel, at least, you know, even if you're not hungry, that's okay. It's an option. You can still grab something like a granola bar for later, you know what I'm saying, throw it in your bag or whatever. And so I still just like staying at a hotel better. Like, I just do. Like, I would rather just stay pretty much in a hotel and not even like Josh Flag almost type of thing. I'd rather just do that. I You can rent an RV too. I'm just like, you get the housekeeping, you get the free coffee all the time, you get like everything. I mean, like, I stayed in an extended stay and it had and I thought an extended stay was basically like perfect, you know? Like, it was like the size of a studio, good enough. The only thing is, didn't have a pool. So I didn't like that. But yeah, I mean, when you're traveling, like when we were traveling or whatever, more than we are right now, it was just kind of like a necessity because you don't even know like where you're at or anything. I don't know. Because we also uh stayed at like different, we also slept in the car, um I think in the beginning of all of this relocation or whatever. Anyway, um I'm just saying, like, if I could just have one way to live instead of like even like, I would rather just live in a hotel than to live in a house, I think. I mean, I don't know if I would buy like a single family home again. I owned one and I had, hope you were staying hydrated. I am, thank you. I am. I know it's really important. I don't know. I liked owning a home because it had more like space as far as like a yard and stuff like that. But and mowing the lawn didn't bother me. I just don't know how much maintenance I want to do on like a house anymore. It's kind of like, you know, people get chihuahuas because they don't need to be groomed really. Just get their nail cut, you know? So it's kind of like with the house, how much time do I want to spend on a house? Like, does a house really mean that much to me? Not really. I just want a place to stay in a bathroom with a coffee pot and my dog. You know, like, as far as like keeping it simple with everything else is fine. Lighthouse Society. Chihuahua are so interesting breed. People feel like they don't have to train them, but they should. Well, I feel like you should train every dog. They're little wolves, is what they are. You know? They're like little wolves. Little wolves. I mean, it takes a long time to train a dog. It takes forever. Like, everybody likes Cupid. Everybody wants Cupid. And it's like, well, that was his temperament always, okay? But it takes years to train dogs. Who's in charge? You're the master. The owner's the master. They have to know that. The owner's the master. They used to say that dog was man's best friend. It's true. The problem with dogs is they don't live long enough. Cupid's already past his lifetime maximum. Most Chihuahua don't know that because they haven't been trained. I don't know. My sister had a Chihuahua named Chi Chi, and it was like this like miniature Chihuahua. It was like the smallest Chihuahua you've ever seen in your life. It literally was like the size of the toy My Little Pony, okay? And that's as big as it was. It was like this like mini freak of nature, okay? Smaller than Paris Hilton's dogs, okay? She gave it away. I couldn't believe it. My dad bought it for her, and she kept him. She kept it was, but I think it was a girl. Chi-Chi was a girl. She kept her for a while, but, you know, dogs, the first year you have them is the potty training problem. They don't even it takes them a year to be potty trained minimum. You know what I'm saying? It's like you can't just throw a puppy out and expect him to pee on the grass. You have to crate train them for minimum a year. It sucks because you want to sleep with them and stuff like that. And I'm not saying you can't do that, but then they got to wear the diapers. But like you have to potty train them. You have to train dogs. But all you have to do is basically just like spend time with them and play with them, and you can teach them that way, like I don't know, I mean, the vets were like, Cupid's getting older, and I'm just like, oh, I mean, they're like, you have to be prepared, and I'm like, oh, and I hate that, because it'll be just like, I don't know, you know what I mean, but he is 14. But they can live to be like 18. But I don't know. We're just going to have to take it day by day. But he's so perfectly trained. Like, he never says anything. He's always quiet, which for a Yorkie, forget that. Our Chihuahua is loud. I don't know. I never had one. My sister had one, but she didn't keep it. She'd always get like these animals and then not keep them. Like, my dad got her a pet skunk. And she had that for a while. And like she even took it to the gym. Like, what are you taking a skunk to the gym for? And she had a turtle. I had the fish. I like fish. It's just cleaning the tank is so like, ugh, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, I love fish because I think they're very relaxing to watch. But it's just cleaning the tank. It's like, how many things can you really do? I don't know. And then, like, I remember one time I went to my friend's parents' house, okay? And they had all these birds flying around. I was like, what the heck is going on? Because, I'm an animal lover and I like birds because they're like the winged creatures. There's your air signs. But, like, they were flying around on the inside of the house. And I'm like, there was a lot of them. There was, like, at least, like, 5. And the problem with the birds, though, is, like, I get that they need to, fly around to get, like, out of the cage or whatever, but they're just messy and they poo everywhere. And it's just, I don't know, just, they should be outside. I know if somebody, like, wills you one of their birds, because, like, some of those macaws can live, like, 70 years. But there was a dog groomer that I used to go to that I would take them to, the twins, and he bird watched. So, like, or something. I like, people would go on vacation and then he would like watch their birds, but like at the grooming salon, because he was gonna be there anyway working, so he just would like let them stay there all day, and so he wouldn't bring them home. But he would get like people that would drop off like the big birds, like the macaws and the talking parrots and stuff. So you never really knew what you were going to see when you went in there, but there was always like, I mean, I guess if you go on vacation, somebody would have to watch your bird, but it's like, that's the thing with pets. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'd rather just travel with my pet than to leave them with a dog sitter. That's the thing, like, but I don't think I would fly with them again. I'd rather do the drive with them, not the flying. I did take Cupid before on a flight, but it messes with their breathing. Like, that's how Lisa Vanderpump lost Jiggy, because they can't their little lungs can't handle the altitude. That's why it's not good to like ship the pets. I know that they do, and I'm not saying anything against that. When we were kids, my dad bought rabbits for my sister because she wanted them, and I remember going to the airport with my mom to pick them up. So, and they were fine. So I know that there's ways that it can be done safely and fine and everything, but for me personally, I wouldn't do it to a dog again, because the breathing with the altitude is just no bueno, you know. For me. Now, I like the Yorkie because I feel like the Yorkie is a good size. They're small. I know you got to get them groomed, but you get to dress them up, and I don't know. They just have like, I just like the size of them because they're furry and they're small and you can bring them everywhere. You know what I mean? That's what I like. And I've had smaller ones too, but I like the size of the ones that I have, which was Cupid and Fergie. I call them teapots because they're closer to the 10-pound range, but the little scrawny ones, man, if you ever step on them, they're in trouble. And like the smaller that they are, the more delicate that they are. And I don't know, I just feel like, you know, I'm very, very, very blessed to be able to have my Yorkie. You know what I mean? And like, I just love the Yorkie. I just love the Yorkie. Everything about Yorkies I love. And when we see another one, we're like, there's your cuz. And sometimes they want to say that like he looks like a silky, and everybody always thinks that Cupid's a girl. But I mean, I love all dogs. I'm an animal lover and I like cats too, but I'd much rather have a dog. Hands down any day. Any kind of dog. I mean, any kind of dog can be aggressive. But like, you know, bigger, smaller, whatever. I like them all. I think they're great. There's such little personalities, and they're just such loving animals, you know, and you can potty train them. He's potty trained. He wakes me up if he's got to go, like in the middle of the night or whatever. And I get up and take him. So, but like his personality, you know what I mean? And like, I don't know, he's just fun to play with. I like to dress him up too. I like to put clothes on him. But his sister didn't like to be dressed up, but he likes it. He doesn't mind it anymore. He used to love it, but now he just kind of likes to be in his own skin. But yeah, I know that Chihuahuas live longer because Chihuahuas live like 18, 20 years. But I just never had the Chihuahua. But I see a lot of them. I like the Malteses too. Malteses live forever. My sister had one. I think it lived to like 18 years old. But they get real like, I don't know, because my mom had a Maltese, and they get like kind of like dementia. Like they get like dementia. Like they'll still be alive, but they're not. They're like kind of like a, I don't know. They get doggy dementia. Malteses do, you know. But they're cute dogs too, because they're like white little puffs, you know. But for some reason, I just always like the Yorkie. I don't know why. I know they make white Yorkies too, but again, that's going to be rare, you know. So, anybody have plans for Labor Day weekend? Monday will be like dead quiet. That's the one thing about like holidays in the United States. Like everybody takes the day off, and it's just such a boom, dead quiet day, you know. It's just wow. So, I don't know. I might hmm, I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I should read, like maybe I should go to the library and you know, read a book. Mm, I do have my pass. I could do that tomorrow. That would be nice and relaxing and knowledgeable. People will do the cookouts and stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. Lots of streaming. Probably. So, anyway. That was it, really. I just wanted to check in. I hope everybody has a good weekend. And thank you for hanging out with me. And that's it for right now. Namaste.